Hi beautiful people, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Betty and I'm here again with another tutorial. And in today's tutorial we are going to be learning how to make this beautiful crop top for our baby girls. And if this is your first time you coming across my video, I'll say you're most welcome, and do not forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Yeah, and without wasting much more time, let's dive into the video. Okay, so for this tutorial I'm going to be using these colors of yarn, and this is lemon green plus pink. And for the hook I'm using a 3mm hook. Then I'll need my scissors, I'll need my, in case, but I don't think so. Then for the stitch markers, yeah, we'll need some stitch markers to mark our work. Okay, so to start my work, I'll start with a knot, and this is how I make my knot, like this. Then make a total chain of 125. So make a total chain of 125, then I'll meet you with your chain. Okay, so here I am with my chain, and it is 125 like I said before. And the next thing you're going to do is just to join both ends together, or both sides together, like this, with your slip knot, like this. Then make sure it is tight and chain one, then tighten it very well, like that. So here we have our work. Then chain two, then yarn over, then insert your hook in that very first stitch. Grab your loop, pass through, then yarn over, pass through two, and yarn over, pass through two. And here we have our double crochet. Then next is another double crochet, and the next is another double crochet. Next stitch is another double crochet, and you're going to continue with the double crochets in each stitch all around until you come back to the end of your row. Then I'll meet you there. Alright, so I'm at the end of the row. The next thing is just to slip stitch on top of chain two space, like this, and close up your row. Then after chain one, then tighten it like that. Then next, now you're going to join your work together and get the middle part. So go ahead and count, divide that 125 divide by 2, that is 63, I think. Yeah, so go ahead, count 63 stitches and put your stitch marker. Then after, you come and start your work. Now this is where my stitch marker is after counting 63, and that's where my 63 stitch is. The next, you chain two now, like this. Then inside that same space, make a double crochet, like this. And again inside that same space, make another double crochet, like this. Then chain two, 1 and 2. Then inside that same space, make another double crochet, inside that same space another double crochet, then inside that same space another double crochet. So we have chain two double crochets in the same space, chain two, and 3 double crochets in the same space. So chain two is counting as our first double crochet, and there we have our first shell. Then the next, you chain two, then count 3 double crochets, like that. Then on top of the 4th double crochet, like this. Then on top of that 4th double crochet, make your double crochet, like this. Then chain two, inside that same space make another double crochet like this, and here we have our V stitch. Okay, so next you chain 2 like this, skip 3 double crochets, 1 2 3, then on top of the 4th double crochet make your double crochet or make your V stitch, that is a double crochet, chain 2 and another double crochet like this, like that. Then next you continue chain 2. Always remember to chain 2 before you do any other V stitch or shell. Then count 3. On top of 4 you make a V stitch, that is a double crochet, chain 2 and another double crochet, and you will continue with this V stitch until you get to where you marked your work. Then I will show you what to do next. Alright, so here we are at the marked area. Next you chain 2, then skip your 3 double crochets, then inside that very stitch where your stitch marker is, that's where you're going to make your double crochet. Then you can remove it because now we've gotten our middle part. Then there again make another double crochet in the same space, again in that same space make another double crochet, and here we have 3 double crochets in the same space. Then chain 2 and make another 3 double crochets in that same space, and that is a shell. Okay, so next here we have our shell. Next you chain 2, then skip again 3 double crochets, then on top of the 4th double crochet make your V stitch, that is a double crochet, chain 2 and another double crochet in that same space, and you continue with this V stitch until you get to where you started your row. Then I'll meet you there. Alright, so here I am at the end of my row. I'll still skip my 3 double crochets, then on top of the 4th double crochet I'll make my V stitch, and that is a double crochet, chain 2 and another double crochet in that same space. And here you have your V stitch, then count there are 3 double crochets, then on 4th that's where our shell is. So the next thing is to chain 2 and slip stitch on top of chain 2 space like this. Then go to the next stitch, slip stitch until you get to chain 2 space. Go to that chain 2 space and sight your hook like this. Don't pull any yarn. And now attach another color of yarn. So here we are changing our color. So we want to attach another yarn. Okay, like this. Then after, just pull it like this, like that. You've pulled it through those chain 2 space and that loop that was on the hook, and here we have attached our yarn. Then next you chain 2, then inside that same space make your double crochet, then inside that same space make another double crochet, and you have 2 double crochets, and chain 2 inside that same space make a double crochet, inside that same space make another double crochet, then that same space make a last double crochet. So we have chain 2 double crochets, then chain 2, then 3 double crochets. Remember, chain 2 that starts is like a first double crochet. Then chain 2 next, go inside that V stitch and make your front post like this. Are you seeing how I'm passing my hook? Let me draw it to closer. That's okay. You pass your hook at the back of your double crochet like this, and grab your yarn, pass through like this, then grab your yarn, pass through 2 loops, then grab your yarn, pass through loop. Here we have our front post. Then inside that chain 2 space, you're going to make a total of 6 double crochets in the same space. This is 2, 3, 4, 5, and the last one 6. So we have a total of 6 double crochets in the same space, that is chain 2 space. Then next make another front post, and this is how you make your front post. You pass your hook at the back of that double crochet like this, and grab your yarn, pass through 2 loops, and grab your yarn, pass through 2. And here we have this. That's the pattern of this crop top. So next you chain 2. Okay, you chain 2 and repeat the same thing you did, that is a front post like this, like this. Then make your 6 double crochets in the same space, and that is chain 2 space, that is 2, this is 3, 4, 5, and then 6. Okay, so we have 6 double crochets in the same space. Then the next thing is another front post, and this is what we are going to be doing all around until we get to the end of our row. Then I'll meet you there. Remember, before you start another, work on another V, chain 2 before you go to that V and start working on it. You start with your front post, then you go to 6 double crochets in the same space, then you end, or you close with a front post. I hope you get it very well. Then before you start another one again, you chain 2, and that is the pattern we are going to be using all around. Then I'll meet you at the end of the row, or at the shell. There's a shell, so let me meet you at the shell instead of the end of the row, and show you how to work in the shell that we have. Right, so I'm at the shell. This is the shell, that is 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochet space. So here we chain 2, then inside that very chain 2 space, I'll make another 3 double crochets in the same space like this, then chain 2, then make another double crochet or 3 double crochets in the same space. That is a shell. So on top of a shell, you make a shell, that is, you make 3 double crochets in the same space, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. That is where the shell is. All right, so next we will continue our pattern, which is to the first work is a front post. Then inside that chain 2 space, you make 6 double crochets in that same space. Then you close up your dirty shell, we like call it a shell, with a front post, and this is the pattern we are going to use. So continue, then I'll meet you at the end of the row, then show you what is next. All right, so here I'm at the end of the row, and the next thing is just to slip stitch on top of chain 2 space like this, then go to the next stitch, slip stitch, Then go inside that chain 2 space like this and slip stitch like that. Then chain 1 and tighten your work, and chain 2. Then make your 2 double crochets in that same space. Remember, our chain 2 is counting as our first double crochet. Then this is 3 double crochets in the same space. Then chain 2 and make another 3 double crochets in the same space, and that is our shell. So remember, where there's a shell, you will make a shell like this. So now here we are introducing another, that our V stitch, and now here we are starting our V stitch exactly here before the other. This is in the first chain 2 space is where we are starting with our V stitch like this. V stitch is a double crochet, chain 2, then another double crochet in that same space. So whenever you start a V stitch, make sure you start it after the shell. That first chain 2 space is where you're supposed to start with your first V stitch. Then go on top of those chain 6, count 3, then on top of the 4th there like this, make your V stitch. That is a double crochet, chain 2. In that same stitch, make another double crochet like this. So next you chain 2 again and go on top of that here, count 3, then in the 4th make your V stitch like this. V stitch is double crochet, chain 2 and another double crochet in the same space. Then chain 2, go on top of this, count in the middle, that is 3, make your V stitch, and this is what you're going to be doing all around until you get where your shell is. Then I'll meet you there. All right, so here I'm at the shell. This is our shell, and before you start a shell, being that we are on the row of a V stitch, you have to make another V stitch in this chain 2 space like this. That is a double crochet, chain 2 and another double crochet in this chain 2 space like this. Then after chain 2, and go inside that shell and make another shell. Okay, we have our our shell. Then here we are going to make our V stitch, chain 2, make your V stitch in this chain 2 space after the shell like this. Then chain 2, make your V stitch on top of that 6 double crochet in the middle like this. Then chain 2 and go on top of this 6 double crochets and make your V stitch in the middle of that 6 double crochet, and this is what you're going to be doing all around until you get back to the end of your row. Then I'll meet you there. All right, so here I am at the end of my row, and what you're going to do is to chain 2 and make your V stitch inside this very chain 2 space like this, then chain 2 and slip stitch your work, on top of chain 2 space like this, like that. Then again slip stitch, then go to chain 2 space and slip stitch like this, then chain 1 and tighten your work, and this is how our work is looking. Then make 2 double crochets in the same space, then chain 2, then make 3 double crochets in the same space like this, then chain 2, then make a front post, make your 6 double crochets in the same space, then make your front post like this. Yeah, and this is what you're going to be repeating all around until you get where your shell is. When you reach where your shell is, you just chain 2 and make your shell, that is 3 double crochets, chain 2 and 3 double crochets in the same space, then chain 2 and continue with this front post, then 6 double crochets in the same space, then again a front post. So continue, then I'll meet you at the end of the row. Right, so here I'm at the end of the row and you just slip stitch like this, then in slip stitch again, then slip stitch inside that chain 2 space like this, then chain 1 and tighten your work like that. All right, then next you chain 2 and make your 2 double crochets in the same space or make a shell like this, then chain 2, then make another 3 double crochets in the same space, then chain 2, chain 2. Now here we are making a V-stitch. Remember our V-stitch starts from here. Our V-stitch starts from this first stitch, chain 2 space here like this. So remember that one. Whenever you want to start your V-stitch row, the V-stitch starts in the first 2 chain space. Then chain 2, then go on top double crochets, go to on top of that 6 double crochets and make your V-stitch. Chain 2 and make a double crochet in that same space, and this is what you're going to repeat all around until you get a total of 8. When I say 8, you're going to get 4 rows of V-stitch, then 4 rows of this shell, that is a front post, and 6 double crochets in the same space. So go all around until you get a total of 8, then I'll meet you there. Always remember to chain 2. All right, so here I am with the 8 rows. That's 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, so next we are going to count your work from here, from this middle. Count from the very first row, that is 1 and 1, then 2, then come with that second line to here, then mark your work like this. Here, put your mark like this, like that. Then do the same thing on the other side too. Go to your first row from this middle, then count 2, 1 and 2, then follow it like this and put your second stitch marker, and those are our arms like this. So now continue with your pattern like this until you get where you marked your work, then I'll show you. So here we are starting with our V-stitch now to where you marked your work. So next I'll chain 2 and make my 2 double crochets in that same space like this, which is a shell. then chain 2, make a 3 double crochets in the same space like this. Then remember, before this is a V-stitch row, now chain 2 and make your first V-stitch in this very first chain 2 space like this. Then make your chain 2 again on top of this 6 double crochets in the middle, make your V-stitch. Then you continue like this until you get where you marked your work. Then I'll meet you there. Alright, so here I am to where our stitch marker is here. So next thing, after chaining 2, you go to the middle of these 6 double crochets on top there and make a V-stitch like this, that same stitch like this. You can remove the stitch marker. You can remove your stitch marker and do it as long as you have known where you're putting your V-stitch like this. Then go to the other side after chaining 2, okay, like this. Go to the other side in the middle of those 6 double crochets, then make your V-stitch here. I'm trying to get my middle part. Okay, it's here like that. Chain 2 and make your double crochet in that same space like this here. So here we have joined our 2 panels together, and continue with that same V-stitch until you get where you marked your work. Then I'll meet you. Alright, so here I am again to this other part where our stitch marker is. That is the second part, and I'm going to do the same. Find your middle part, then make your V-stitch like this, then chain 2, then chain 2 like this, and make your V-stitch on this side in the middle of that 6 double crochets like this. Chain 2 and another double crochet like this. Yeah, so here we have joined the 2 sides together now. Then you will continue until you get to the end of the row. Then I'll meet you there. Alright, so here I'm at the end of the row here, and I'll make my last V-stitch in this chain 2 space before I slip stitch my work like this. Then chain 2 and slip stitch. Then go to the middle of chain 2 space and slip stitch, then chain 2 and start up your work. So continue with this pattern until you get 2 rows, that is 4, 2 V-stitch rows and 2 dirty shell, that is 6, and a front post row. Okay, then I'll meet you when you have your 4 rows. Alright, so here I am with my, then the next thing you're going to do is to attach another new yarn, that is another color of yarn. And before you attach, make sure you slip stitch until you get to the middle where there's chain 2 space. Then just insert your hook in chain 2 space and use the other yarn to attach it or to change it. Okay, so do like this and leave your hook like that, then attach this other color of yarn like this and pass through all loops like that. Okay, then chain 1 and tighten your work like this. So this helps us to attach our yarn in the right way where it will not pass in other row. Then we'll continue with your shell like this. Remember we stopped on the row of V. Make sure you are on the row of V stitch. Alright, make sure you stop on the row of V stitch. So it will depend on you whether you want it this short or you want it longer, however long you want it, but make sure you stop on the row of V stitch row. This is a V stitch row, and now there we are going to continue our same pattern that we've been doing, but I just wanted to show you how to attach your yarn and change the color. And this will be all for this tutorial, and I'll say to you all, thank you so much for starting with me and ending this tutorial with me. I say may God bless you all. I'm not feeling so well, but I thank God at least I managed to make another tutorial for today, and I know it will take long to download because of the network that disturbs sometimes. But yeah, thank you so much for supporting me. I do not take you all for granted. I'll say bye bye and see you in my next video.